Breaking news from Ontario, a Canadian passenger train slams into a stopped boxcar. 2 people are dead, about 100 are hurt.
Good evening, I'm Robbie Timmon.
And I'm Mark Hayes. The train was carrying about 180 passengers from Toronto, from Windsor, to Toronto from Windsor. You saw pictures of the deadly derailment first on 7 this afternoon. It happened in the town of Thamesville, about 60 miles northeast of Detroit. Chopper 7's Craig Smith is live over the area right now. And Craig, what are you seeing right now?
Well, Mark, it's a real mess down here. And just to reiterate some of the things that you said, this was a Canadian National Railway passenger train. This happened early this afternoon in Thamesville, which is what the locals call it, Thamesville, Ontario. We're 60 miles east of Detroit. Again, the train was carrying about 180 people. 100 people were injured, 2 confirmed dead. The injured were transported to the Westover Treatment Center, which sources on the ground told me that it was actually an alcohol treatment center, but that was the nearest place to get the injured taken care of. The north and south road, which runs through Thamesville, is called 21 Highway. And just a little bit east of that is where the tracks go from 2 to 3 tracks. And also some sources on the ground told me that the train could have been going as fast as 70 miles an hour through this area of Thamesville. Just a little bit east of here, however, he said that the train could also get speeds up as high as 95 miles an hour. The train passes through here every 2 hours through Thamesville from Windsor to Toronto. This particular train that was involved in this, Mark, was called the Via Rail 74. Okay. Investigators are on the scene now just trying to figure out exactly what happened here, Mark. Live report, Chopper 7, I'm Craig Smith reporting back to you.
And Craig, we were hearing reports that this train may have switched tracks to avoid another oncoming train and slammed into the boxcar. Have you been able to confirm any of that information?
No, it's unconfirmed yet, Mark, but just what you're looking at right now, we think that could be the case for sure, because there is 3 sets of rails here, and there is a switching point just east of 21 Highway. That could very well be the case, Mark.
Okay, Craig, thank you.
And now the injured were taken to 2 medical facilities in Thamesville and Chatham.
WXYZ-7's Cheryl Choden is live on the phone from Chatham. Cheryl?
Well, Mark, that Via passenger rail train, that is number 74, left Windsor at 11 o'clock this morning, and at noon it came to a sudden and violent and deadly stop, hitting that freight car, or the boxcar, that was stopped on the tracks. Now, witnesses report that the engineer was thrown from the train, and it is reported that 2 crew members, 2 people, did die in that crash. Some of the passenger cars were derailed and leaning over at a dangerous angle, and the passengers had to be rescued by people who worked and lived nearby. According to Bernie Blay, the CEO of the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance, about 100 of the injured, there were about 100 injured. First, they did go to that clinic, but then they were brought here to the Chatham Hospital, 30 of them by ambulance, and the others in 2 buses. Most of them, he said, suffered only minor injuries, bumps and bruises, and possibly maybe a broken bone. But 6 have more serious injuries. Some could be admitted of the 6. They could face surgery, or some could be transferred to their home city hospitals. Several Americans were on board. That is a very popular Windsor to Toronto. A lot of people take that train to Toronto. Of the injured, there is 1 child, some teenagers, many adults, and some senior citizens. Now, the hospital did call in extra staff quite a bit, but they did not go into their disaster mode. They said they did not feel it was necessary. Again, 100 people, 100 people from the 183 on board were brought here to the hospital in Chatham. Most suffered minor injuries. Some have already gone home. 6 more serious injuries, and they are still being assessed. Some could be admitted. Some could face surgery. A terrible scene, 2 people dead. It was a tragedy, but the hospital officials say that considering the tragedy, they're fortunate not more people were suffering serious injuries. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Cheryl. And as Craig Smith reported, this is a very popular route for Detroiters who take the weekend trips to Toronto from Windsor. This passenger train runs through here just about every 2 hours. Today's crash has many families concerned about their loved ones, and WXYZ-7's Kimberly Craig picks up our Team 7 coverage live from the train station in Windsor. Kimberly?
Well, Robbie, as you can imagine, this is a very tense time for a lot of family. Hours ago, they came here to say goodbye to their loved ones, and they've now returned, trying to get some answers and trying to find out what's happened to them.
My heart's going 200 miles an hour, and I've had just different emotions because, one, you hear there's no injuries and you're relieved, and then you hear their fatalities, and all of a sudden you're totally concerned again, and I guess what happens is that until you see or hear from your loved one, you're not relieved. So
Ray Hebert gave his daughter Shelley Brimner the day off. They worked together at his photography studio. She was heading on to Toronto for a shopping weekend with friends. His daughter is married with 3 children, and for hours they wondered if their mother was okay. Other folks from Michigan had friends on the train heading to Toronto to see the Phantom of the Opera when the crash happened. So you have about how many friends on that train that derailed?
15.
What are you thinking right now?
Well, at first when we thought there were fatalities and serious injuries, of course our hearts, thoughts, prayers were all with everybody on the train. And now that we hear it might not be quite as serious, of course our thoughts and prayers are still with them, but we're relieved.
Apparently the hospital told this lady that if someone like me called back in an hour, they'd be able to tell whether my daughter was there or what. But up to now, I've not heard from anybody.
Now, there have been a number of people that have been stranded here hoping to get to Toronto. They have moved buses in here to the Windsor station, hoping to get those folks on to their destinations. And we do have some good news to share with you right now. We have talked to Mr. Hebert just a short while ago. He and his family, they are very relieved right now. They have heard that his daughter is doing okay. She apparently is in the hospital, and she apparently has some back injuries, but right now he is just thankful that she's alive. Robbie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly. Now, if you know of someone on that train, Via Rail has hotlines that you can call for information. From Canada, the number is 1-800-561-8630. From the United States, the number is 1-800-561-3949. We will repeat those numbers in just a few minutes. And stay with WXYZ 740.